I've got like a homeless guy outside screaming. So if you have headphones on, you might be able to catch a little bit of what he's talking about. His TED talk. He's got a TED talk going, it seems. What's up, everybody? We're doing more Fantasia Fest, and you're like, "What do you mean Fantasia Fest is over?" But I watched a lot of movies, and I couldn't fit them all. I couldn't fit them all into just a 2 week period. So we're gonna be talking about more this week, and we're gonna be talking about more next week. But I'm not gonna fill up your feeds with it. I don't want to keep filling up your feeds with it because you guys are not receptive. You're not receptive to this coverage, so that's okay. We're talking about some real good films this week. Talking about some real good films that I saw at Fantasia Fest here. The Paper Tigers is the first one we're going to be talking about. Now this is a little film that really does feel like a Karate Kid type movie. It was directed by Tran Bao. It's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but manages to be really respectful to those kung fu / karate movies of the 1980s. It it starts off with three kung fu students. They're doing the Miyazaki thing in the garage with their sensei. He's teaching them gung fu. He's teaching them the art of gung fu. 30 years later, their master's dead. They're all older. They've got issues with their knees. They haven't really been continuing the art of gung fu, except for one of the characters who works at an MMA gym, but he doesn't do kung fu as much. The other characters are divorced, have kids. You know, it's kind of a fun little movie about these aging characters. And honestly, this is one of like the funniest movies I've seen in quite some time. This was the funniest movie I saw at this festival, for sure. It's the leads are really good, specific Ron Yan, who's been in a lot of stuff. You also got Matthew Page is really funny as the kind of kung fu guy they beat up in their youth and now is a big steroid guy that runs the gym. He's kind of fun. You got Alan Yu as the main character Danny, Mikhail Jenkins as Jim, the third tiger. You got the three tigers here. They're having a lot of fun. They gotta avenge the death. They gotta avenge the death of their sensei because they knew that no way he could have died from old age for some reason. No way he was at the top of his game being 90 years old. So through various bad tips from Carter, who is kind of the bad guy, but not really. There is a larger picture to this. They have some fun losing to all sorts of kung fu people. There's actually honestly some pretty good fights here, even though it is a comedy movie. It has some pretty good choreography, even for the fights where they're like getting the shit kicked out of them because they don't remember how to do it. There's also a subplot about Danny, who's main guy of the three tigers, the senior fighter of the three tigers, where he has a son and he's not being a very good dad to him. He also has issues with Jim, who he hasn't talked to in 30 years because they went to Japan and he abandoned his fight. He didn't want to do that. So there is a lot of personal issues that they have to hash out in this movie to once again become a family. And it is honestly like pretty cheesy at times, but I always enjoy just watching like a nice comedy that has a little bit of meaningful content in it. I think maybe Danny gets too good at kung fu too fast for someone who hasn't done it in 25 years, but I guess he was really good at it at one point, so it does come back to him. They eventually find out that their sensei had taken on Sifu, their Sifu I guess they call it. Their Sifu had taken on another student after they all left, and he can do like some sort of poison attack where he's got the poison fingers and he's able to kill you. He did it to the Sifu, he did it to some other guys, and now he's like an assassin, and they're like, we have to kill this guy. And they end up having a very fun final fight with this character. It's a nice little movie about martial arts, aging, and responsibility, and while it is like very easy, it plays out very easy for everything, it is so likable, and it works so well. I thought I really liked this movie. It was funny and a little sentimental, but not as sappy as I expected it to be. It is it is a fun little movie, and I'm going to give this one 4 stars. All right, next up, this is one that I was so excited for because we know every year Korea's out there making some great stuff. This one distributed by Warner Brothers. It's a big one. I knew it was going to be a big one. This is a little Korean movie starring Lee Young-ae. She was in Sympathy for Lady Vengeance and Joint Security Area, both Park Chan-wook movies that I'm a big fan of. I like both of those quite a bit, and it's always good to see her in a leading role. In this movie, 6 years after her son went missing, this woman is still looking for her. Her husband gets like a potential sighting text message because he's leaving posters all over the place. Immediately dies in a car crash, so it's just her against the world, and she's really hoping that she can find them. We shift perspectives to this weird kind of fishing village that has like a bunch of kids working for them. You've got a very problematic rapist character who has some issues, and also seems like he's probably one of the kids that they picked up and let them work for him. The village is the fishing area is owned by this cop, and when another cop comes there to investigate, he kind of brushes it off. He's like, no, this isn't the same kid, even though they look exactly the same. And that cop thinks that he's covering something up, so he sends an anonymous tip to a tip line, and eventually it gets back to the mother, where she finds this fishing village and starts to investigate what's going on there. And she's so unsubtle about it. She's really gets caught real easy, just like walking into the fucking place, walking into people's buildings and shit. They're real suspicious of her. They're like, we don't know anything about it. You're gonna have to go away. We don't know. There's definitely no child abuse or anything happening here. We didn't pick up any people we don't know. And as she's leaving the village, there's another little kid, and he's like tells her a little secret. She's like, these people aren't my parents. And that sets her off. She knows that something's going on here. She starts investigating it. And like I said, she's very bad at it. She's just like, the sheer incompetence of this character is astounding. She's like trying so hard to find this kid, and yet everything she's doing is the wrong way, getting caught right away. Unbelievable. Eventually it gets back to the kid that his mother was there, and they manage to escape the little kids. And as they're chasing her down, she tries to find them. The other parents try and find him. They get down to the docks, and he gets swept away. He gets swept away, and you're like, holy shit, this is the middle of the movie, and we've already lost the kid. She immediately gets captured once again. Once again, she gets captured. And this is where the movie starts to get really crazy, because the main guy, he's like, I'm a police officer. You can't do anything to me. And he's like he's a mustache twiddling bad guy. And it truly is, like, the character work in this movie is quite bad. It is quite bad, to be honest. But it does have all of the things we love from these Korean revenge thrillers. Lots of violence, implied rape, and a whole bunch of shocking twists. That is for sure. After a bloodbath of her escaping somehow, it seems a little suspicious the way she escaped, to be honest. But she does manage to escape and finds the dead body of her son on the beach. And boy, oh boy, does this movie fucking pack a punch, man. It is a bleak film when you find out what's going on. I'm not going to reveal the spoiler of this, but this is such a bleak film. And that is kind of what we come to expect with the Korean revenge thrillers. If you're a Park Chan-wook fan, or even a Bong a little bit, they are bleak, but this is some of the bleakest I've seen. I like this movie a lot. It's not without its issues. Beautiful looking film, of course. Beautiful looking film. It has that kind of shot on video Korean style, but not bad. It's not a bad thing. Cool ideas here, maybe executed a little sloppy at times, but I think this Kim Sung-woo person is going to be having quite a good career with his films coming up. So I'm excited to see more of those. Bring Me Home, I think I'm going to have to give 3 stars, but it is a pretty good one. It is a pretty strong one. All right, everybody, one more to go today, the Block Island Sound. This is from the McManus brothers, who I guess made that show American Vandal. I didn't see that. That was like that show that was about a kid. It was like a true crime doc, but about who was drawing like dicks or something. That's what that was, right? I'm pretty sure that's what that TV show was. They've made a new film called Block Island Sound. This is a really cool movie, cool little sci-fi movie. It kind of slowly unwinds, but as it does, it's very, very interesting. They think something is controlling the town on Block Island. There seems to be fish washing up on the shore all over the place. Birds are dying. You've got the conspiracy theorist guy that's pretty cool. That's like explaining Joe Rogan theories and stuff. Then you've got the main cast of characters. You got Harry, the son, and his father's the first one to really succumb to the Block Island Sound, where stares off into space and doesn't know where he is at times. Well, they don't know what's going on with the father. The sister Audrey eventually shows up to see what's going on with the dad. She's a marine biologist by chance, so she's going to look into the fish. She's going to look into the fish stuff. This movie really shines with the sound design, because it is called the Block Island Sound, and there are some very spooky sounds in this movie. And every time something crazy is happening, that sound is so spine-tingling and unsettling. It also has really, really good editing. There's a scene specifically where he's getting an MRI because he doesn't know what's happening to him, where it's like flipping between the MRI, the actual, the computer-generated MRI, and his father, and it's just like superb editing. This is a very good-looking movie in my opinion. Eventually, the father disappears. They realize that he probably fell out of a boat when he was drunk, and he's going to wash up eventually. He does wash up, and he's got some sort of trauma to his head. He's covered in bruises. They don't know what did it. Hard to say, impossible to say. Maybe he hit some rocks. The son, Harry, now is really, really trying to get to the bottom of this. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He's diving. Some black mist comes while he's diving, and he ends up on his boat. And from there, he just keeps blacking out. He doesn't understand what's doing it. He doesn't know what's triggering it. He is trying to figure this out. And every time he comes in contact with a large group of electronic devices, he sees his father, and his father is asking for things like, bring me a dog, bring me a deer, bring me a child. So they realize that he's being controlled by something. There's a lot of great imagery in here. Sometimes Harry will just be vomiting up an eel, and other times he'll be just staring into space. And all of it's scary. All of it's scary. Eventually, after his MRI, the doctor thinks he might have that thing where you have hypersensitivity to electronic devices, so he has to go live out in the woods. But he's like, no, it's not that. I'm not gonna do that. But Audrey's she's not convinced. She goes out and finds another guy in the woods that has this, and he explains to her that we gotta go back there and stop him. If he's blacking out because of electronic devices, that means that he's their vessel. And she's like, what do you mean their vessel? And he's like, their vessel. And then you're at that point, you're like, oh shit, this is an alien movie? You're like, the whole time you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize this was going to be an alien movie. And that's where this shit goes off the fucking walls, dude. Because aliens are out here abducting shit. They're looking at deers. They're grabbing children. They want to grab children. And eventually it is, in fact, revealed that the aliens are, much like a marine biologist, are taking the fish out of the water, is studying them, figuring out how they can do them, and plopping them back in the water. And that's what they're doing with people. And it's a real fucked up movie. It's a pretty lazy metaphor, to be honest, but the movie itself is very, very good. And I liked the way that it was laid out in that way. Some of the acting is a little questionable at times, to be honest, but most of it is extremely watchable. And I had a good time watching this one. This was a midnight premiere at Fantasia, and I was watching it late at night, and it was unnerving, to say the least. So I'm going to give this one 4 stars. So that's it for today, everybody. If you got some comments, leave them below. Make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Movie Epidemic. See you guys next time.
Why don't you play us something, baby? Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start? I don't feel so good.